Good evening. My name is Robert Pagan. I'm the Associate Director of Alumni Engagement and Annual Fund. Welcome to the School of Arts and Humanities Dean's Alumni Briefing. We're about to get started, but first, a note of housekeeping. Kindly keep your devices muted during the presentation. If you would like to ask a question, please post it in chat at the bottom of your screens to be addressed during our question and answer section. And without further delay, it is my pleasure to present Dean James Mahon.
Thank you, Robert. And hello to everyone watching tonight. I am delighted to be here to talk to you about the past year in the School of Arts and Humanities. I'm a very proud dean of the School of Arts and Humanities, and I'm always amazed at the achievements of our students and faculty. But this year was a special year. It was a year in which we were back in person in all of the things that we do, in all of our productions, in all of our classes, in all of our concerts. And we also did some things for the first time. And it was, I think, a year of which we can be proud. I'm going to go through the achievements, but as I do, I will just remind you a little bit about the scope and nature of our School of Arts and Humanities. So we are a school of 9 departments, and we combine both the study of the humanities in departments such as Africana Studies and English and History and Latin American Latino Studies, and philosophy, with the arts, and I include there the visual arts with the Department of Art, and the performing arts in the theater, dance, and music programs, which we combine with technology and innovations there in the digital world. And that includes our multimedia programs and our programs in the Department of Journalism and Media Studies. And you'll see lots of evidence of this in the work of our students that I'll be presenting. So it was an exciting year for us. It was a year in which, by being back in person, by having everything on campus, we basically rediscovered ourselves. And I think the work that we achieved this year is probably among the best that we have ever done. It also was an interesting year for us because at the end of this year, as I'll allude to later, we did see in the celebration of our graduates, none other than Grandmaster Flash receive a Doctor of Music from the school in the 50th anniversary of the creation of hip hop here in the Bronx. And I just want to say that as the Dean of the School of Arts and Humanities, with the performing arts and visual arts and humanities programs, it was great to see him speak to the students about the need for innovation and creativity in that group. And as a musician, but also as an innovator, and also as somebody who innovated with technology, because what he did was technologically advanced as well as musically advanced. It really spoke to the kind of school that we are, and his words to our students this year were incredibly inspiring. And I want to thank him again for coming to our campus and meeting with our students. So it was a special year, and one of the interesting things is that we began the year with an award for one of our faculty for an achievement with her students that was actually something done during the pandemic when we were all completely online. So I am going to turn to the first of the events of 23-24, which was a prize, an award for one of our faculty who had put together a musical with her students. One of the first things that happened as we began last academic year is that Professor Penny Prince in the music program was awarded the American Prize for 2022 in musical theater performance for Cinderella 21, which, as you can see from this still taken from that musical, was actually made entirely online with students performing at their homes and recorded and mixed together here on campus. So it was a fitting end, as it were, to the pandemic era in which we continued. And I especially want to thank our students for continuing to perform, and our faculty continued to stage productions and record them. So congrats to Penny Prince for that award, and she continues to compete with her annual musical theater in national competitions. So that was a beginning to the year that was really wonderful for us as a school to have her win that prize. But it was also an interesting year because one of our alumni from the Department of Journalism and Media Studies, Aisha, she actually became senior editor of news internships at the Wall Street Journal. And she came back to campus and spoke to students in journalism and film and TV studies and media communications studies about careers in journalism and media, which is a fast changing career, but to students who, as I said, are becoming now more technologically advanced and adapted. So she came back and spoke to us, and that was somebody who has been a prize-winning journalist, but who is moving into mentoring future journalists. And we hope to have her back many times to campus, and we hope to have more of our students working for journals such as the Wall Street Journal out of our wonderful program, which is actually right next door to me, Journalism Media Studies. Now, I've talked about how we are becoming more technologically proficient as a school, and evidence of that is that the mayor's office funded the production of a number of public service announcements in a grant that covered students working with trained professionals in media and directed and mentored by faculty members. That included journalism media studies, it included English, it included other departments, art, and the work that was produced with a combination of the students and our faculty and professionals was so successful that we were nominated for New York Emmys. And this is a first for me, so I'm allowed to say how much I enjoyed this.
In March of 2020, life as New Yorkers knew it changed dramatically. Broadway shuttered, restaurants and offices closed overnight, and our cultural voice went silent.
Essential workers were pushed beyond their limits,
adapting to the COVID-19 pandemic while the city was in a lockdown.
Some people were saying New York is dead.
But this isn't the first time New York City had to respond to a crisis, and we're no strangers to reinventing ourselves. As a city, we had to shift.
So I'm just playing you a sample. Those voices that you heard are all the voices of our students narrating to those images. And we were successful enough to make it to the New York Emmys. And I'm sorry for putting a poster of me in a tuxedo, but I thought this is actually what our the work that we have been able to produce. Some of our students there in the group, and our producers and our faculty mentors. This is the work, this is the quality of the work that we've been producing here, that the mayor's office has given us a grant. And I just wanted to say, we didn't take home a New York Emmy, as much as I would have loved to have that happen. But what was, I thought, even better is that the mayor's office has decided to fund us for another round of public service announcements. And they're actually working on them now, and we hope to have them released soon. And that way we will continue to be seen as a place of expertise by the city of New York for video production. That was a great social event as well as everything else, but importantly a network event. And actually Curtis in that photograph is now doing video production at Pfizer. He's been hired out of an internship program at our college to work for Pfizer. That's Curtis there at the back. So I'm delighted. Quick transition, but to try to give a sense of what we were doing this semester, we really did have, I think the faculty organizers really excelled this year. Maybe it was because we were so fully back to being in person on campus, but we had the annual Dance and Dialogue, which is something created by Director of Dance Amy Larmer, where we get guest choreographers to come to campus and to work with our students on a dance, a performance. This year we were very fortunate because we managed to get Jason Rodriguez, whom you may know from Pose, and also Beverly Lopez, who's one of our alumni, class of 2015. So they each did a piece, which, you know, they rehearsed with the students over September and October. And what I want to stress about what we do here with our students is that in addition to the actual performance, and there are photos of them dancing, but what I thought is even more interesting is that Dance and Dialogue is about also dialogue. And what happens after these performances is that the choreographer and the students sit literally there in front of the audience and now discuss the process of putting that dance together, that performance together, with members of the audience, students and visitors and alumni, we hope, and faculty. So this was an exceptional, I think, Dance and Dialogue year. And Beverly was good enough to agree to teach Latin dance for us in the subsequent semester, spring, and is teaching again in the fall. And Jason Rodriguez remains a friend of our program. And I'm delighted that he has agreed to participate. And he also participated with MX, one of MX's shows as professor in dance, subsequently that semester. So I'm delighted to have them on campus with our students. And by the way, if you're looking at the group, the students sitting beside Jason, you'll notice that they have an incredibly attractive black outfits. And that's a group of outfits that Jason managed to get sponsored by Adidas. And I think they got to keep those, which I thought was kind of cool. But this was also an interesting year for us because for the first time, the college allowed each school to do its own fundraising campaign, which we did in November as part of the sort of Thanksgiving drive and the Giving Tuesday. And we created a number of videos here in our school. And I want to give a shout out to Jim Carney, who's involved in putting that together, professor in the Department of Journalism and Media Studies, and Maria Sanchier, who edited those videos and who was actually a senior this year and whose work is in evidence in our Arts and Humanities Instagram account, if you follow that, which I ask you to. So they put together a collection of interviews with a number of our majors all throughout the school. And those were shown to all of you, all alumni and members of the school and the college, with the result that we were able to raise funds. Although I still want to encourage everybody watching this to return to the same site of our website for this year when we do our next fundraising. The technological aspect of this doesn't take away from the fact that we are a humanities school as well, which has graduated writers. And we were delighted that one of our graduates from 2019, actually, Courtney Comrie, came back to speak to our students about her book, Rain Raising. She had been featured actually in the New York Times some years ago for her writing and came back to speak about that book, young adult book, which was great for our creative writing program in the English department because it has turned out to be the fastest growing major within our component concentration within the English major is creative writing, poetry and fiction. So we have many fiction writers, many new poets coming out of our school. And it was great to have her meet and talk about writing and the process of becoming published with those students this year. I was delighted. I am as you may tell from my accent, I am myself an immigrant. I did come from Europe to the United States many years ago. the history of Ireland is such that I speak Irish as a second language, not a first language. But I remain interested in the multilingual nature of our students and our school. And I thought this was a fitting time to give some recognition to our Department of Languages and Literatures, who every year organize International Day on campus, featuring all of the sort of tables with the various cuisines of the different countries for the languages that we teach. And here at Lehman, we teach ourselves Spanish, French, Italian, Japanese, that's a Japanese table, and Irish. And we also, through our consortium, offer Arabic and Chinese. And actually by next year, we may indeed be offering Chinese and Arabic here ourselves. But this is a wonderful event where all the students get together and faculty come and visit the different tables, practice some of the native languages and enjoy some of the cuisine. But I thought I would highlight Japanese and their table because it is a little known fact that every year, the Language and Literatures Department, supported by a number of members of the community, we host the Japanese language proficiency test for all of New York and indeed New Jersey, basically the tri-state area. So we've taken that over from Columbia University, and it was paused during the pandemic. So it was wonderful to see students back taking the proficiency exam in Carmen Hall, led by Asako there, and just delightful to see the students back. It takes place on a weekend, and it is a very sort of, it's a great honor for our school to host the proficiency exam for the three states, and it's a wonderful opportunity to support the study of languages here at Lehman. So I thought I would highlight that. It happens now, we hope, every year again in person. That's certainly what we're gunning for next year. But not to interrupt the flow of the level of creativity in our student performers. The November and December period is a very active one, and one of the things that we have created here at Lehman is, and I said we have a lot of creative writers in our school, but we have writers who are writing plays and students directing or faculty directing plays written by our students. And I thought we had a wonderful collection of plays put on this year in the New Voices Festival in November. And if any of you, for whatever reason, have not been to the campus recently to see our students perform in for example, the Lovinger Theatre, then I would encourage you to make it to campus, because to see our students perform in plays written by our students is really a marvel. The standard of writing and acting is basically no different from that you would find really in New York. And it's more exciting because of the work that's being done by our students is up on the stage. So I once again applaud the organization of that. And I want to give a shout out to Stephanie Stowe and the theater program, who has been a supporter of this and has facilitated this for many years. So go, Steph. I want to say, although it is a minor, the disabilities program is housed in our school through the Department of Philosophy, and I was delighted to see that this year they organized a guest lecture by Leonard Davis, one of the leading disability studies experts in the world, and had an audience come to speak about that. So we are a school that is, I think, deeply concerned at a moral and a philosophical level with the changing nature of education, and and what that means is that we understand that we have topics and areas to cover in what is the humanities that are maybe not what people think of traditionally the humanities, but disability studies has been an important contribution to our curriculum now for many years. And so I'm delighted to see that we organize that. And I want to thank the chair of the philosophy department, Julie Maybe, for putting together that talk this year. And there are many talks that happen throughout the year. I can't possibly cover all in one sort of presentation, but this is one that I was delighted to see happen, because as a member of the philosophy department, I'm very excited to see when we have a philosophically guided presentation happening that I can join. But I do want to say that one of my favorite events of the entire year, coming up to the end of the first semester, is the winter concert, which is held in the Performing Arts Center, which is the largest stage that we have at Lehman. And that is usually the Lehman College and Community Chorus, which is made up of students, high school students indeed, college students, Lehman students, community members, faculty, staff, alumni, right? Basically everybody who is a musician or a singer is eligible to participate. And that is conducted, well, the winter concert is conducted by Diana Mitrapaglia, otherwise known as Dr. B. And I'm going to see if this works. I want to see if I can play a little bit of the music from the Performing Arts Center in December. It is a sight to behold. And again, this is something that, because it's on a weekend, on a Sunday, it's usually the case that we have a lot of community members able to come to hear Diana conduct the chorus. But just see if I can play a little bit of this. Okay, so this gives you just a taste, but when you're in that auditorium, which can seat over 2,000, and you have the choir or the musicians accompanying them, and Diana, it is an incredible event. So I do hope that we continue to support the winter and as you see, the spring concert in the Performing Arts Center. And please, if you haven't, admission is free. Although we're always happy to accept donations to the program. But if you are able to get to a concert in the Performing Arts Center on the weekend conducted by Diana, it is amazing. And I want to shout out to faculty and staff who play in that, because you know, that's when they get to be on display. Now this year, the December and January period for me was not a time of rest. This year, by dint of a lot of work in the fall, CUNY awarded the School of Arts and Humanities a grant of $500,000. It was the grant awarded to Lehman College under the liberal arts pilot. It meant that we were given funding for 2 years to facilitate our students in all 9 departments in getting internships, paid internships, with partners across the city. And, you know, we did have Simon & Schuster, the publisher, come to us looking to see if we had students who would be interested in interning with them initially, and they became one of our partners. And also Diversify by Design, which is a group that seeks to diversify the design industry, were interested in working with us as a partner. And so it was wonderful to receive this grant, the CUNY Inclusive Economy Initiative grant. And with that, we were able to hire 2 specialists to work with our students in arts and humanities. Natasha Barua, who comes from the world of museums and art galleries as an art history graduate, and who has been advising students on careers and on seeking internships for many years before she came to work with us. And LaShawna Turner, who worked with students at another CUNY college before coming to Lehman to work with our students on preparing their resumes and on doing mock interviews to make them ready to meet with the partners across the city that Natasha had organized. So that was a fantastic grant to achieve for our school, first time ever, and we were only one of 2 schools in all of CUNY that were actually given the grant for the liberal arts. And with that, we then created a way for students to sign up so that they could be eligible for earning an internship opportunity. And in fact, that's one of our students who had who won an internship for this summer in that poster. And this is basically now something that we want to make permanent. But what's really important for any students who are watching is that if you're an arts and humanities major, we now have 2 people whose job it is to secure for you an internship before you graduate, which we know is one of those things that's key in leading to a permanent, well, I shouldn't say permanent, because these days people change jobs every couple of years, but an internship is key to landing sort of the first position out of college. And so we have been lacking in that in the arts and humanities, and CUNY finally saw the light, it seems, and then saw the light further in choosing Lehman as the site for that grant. I did show some music earlier, and I wanted to emphasize in this clip something that's even more special, I think, that happened this year, because one of our new hires in music, Jennifer Dolly, was awarded a Fulbright scholarship to go to work to teach in Cairo, in Egypt. And just as a sign of the kind of collegiality that we have here in our faculty, I thought it was rather interesting that in the same year that she won the Fulbright, her colleague, I mean, she just started, so this is a new colleague, but our colleague, Professor Jason Noble, was conducting at Carnegie Hall high school students from around the country. He was specially selected for that. And what he chose to do was to have the students play some of Jennifer's work. And so at the end of the students playing Jennifer's work in Carnegie Mellon, conducted by her colleague, he then brought her out and was suitably applauded by everybody there for their work that they had just heard. I wasn't allowed to record the actual performance of the work by the students because I don't interrupt the musicians, but I thought I would show that much to sort of give a sense of the international scope and the camaraderie of our faculty for each other. It was, I think, another area in which I saw a lot of interesting collaboration amongst faculty with a view towards experiences for our students that are, I think, unique. Professor Susan Watson-Turner in the theater program organized for Nikki Giovanni to come to speak to all students, faculty, alumni, and community members about, among other things, the work of James Baldwin. And you see in this photo taken here of the interview that she is being interviewed by someone who has actually just this fall joined us as a full-time faculty member. That's Maria Mariposa Fernandez. And that interview on campus, which was televised, recorded and televised by CUNY TV, that was organized in advance of our students, directed by Susan Watson-Turner, in James Baldwin's play, The Amen Corner, which happened, I think, about a week after that, a week or two after that, in the beautifully made out Lovinger Theater. And I just play, this is the poster designed by Erica in media. I should thank Erica Reinhardt for doing that. But I thought that it was just a nice event in every way possible, combining music, theater, the set design, beautiful work by Chris and Kyle, and one of our students, Chanel Houston, who is a force to be reckoned with in terms of organizing students with the view towards basically having our productions and our departments be sort of more integrated. That it was great to see that as the lead actress in this, it was great to see the other students having her come out at the end and thank with them. So this was James Baldwin's The Amen Corner And anybody who was there for that will report to you that it really was a magnificent event, and the students were incredible. And we have it on recording. At the same time, almost in the calendar, I wanted to give a shout out to one of our great partners at the college, which is the Lehman Art Gallery, and to Bartholomew Bland, who is the director. This was one of the exhibitions we held throughout the year. This was the Queer Love exhibition. And as you see, if you were able to make it to the gallery, which is one of the most beautiful sites on our campus, it was a spectacular exhibition of a number of artists. And it was an amazing event because I thought that, you know, we have artists, but to bring them together on the college campus for this exhibition and to have our own students, both graduate and undergraduate students in art, be able to see the work of artists was just, for me, a very special thing. The art gallery for me is a special place on our campus. And I want to support the gallery, which also facilitates the art department insofar as it has the students exhibit their work every year. So thanks to Bart and for all the artists who participated in the exhibition. And there are many exhibitions throughout the year, but I selected that exhibition because it had, I think, a great effect on all who came to view the work. This was an exhibition held in the spring, and one of the annual fixtures of our spring is the Spring Dance Festival. And this is where the students create and perform in works. They choreograph, they design, they do moves that are basically ones they work on in rehearsal again and again with their professors, and then put it on for the rest of us. And we get to enjoy the fruits of their labor. And it is, again, another spectacular performance in Lovinger in the 500-seat theater that, again, if for any reason you haven't made it to the dance festival, the quality of the work, I mean, every year I'm impressed, but remember, we're back now in person after a period of time where we were remote, and the quality of the work from our students inside this time, I think it was maybe the most perfect, the most technically proficient dance festival that we've had. So I just want to shout out. I have some photos, but they don't do it justice. It was spectacular. I stress that we are showing the physical and the embodied in these performances, but it is also interesting that we have developed as a school to the point where our art department was able to do something that they've been trying to do for many years, but this year we finally were able to achieve the success of having our new animation program be supported by the acquisition of 45 Mac stations, which was actually a grant, a CUNY 2020 grant, so-called CUNY 2020 grant, which, believe it or not, we succeeded in obtaining in 2014, before I was even at Lehman College. But it took that many years to finally have that equipment on site and set up. And Nicole Barreras, who was CLT in the art department, was involved in setting up that, among other, there's two labs where the computers are set up. And if you see, this is where now we are going. So the art department offers both a degree in art that has a specialization in animation and allows for students to do an entire degree in computer graphics and imaging. And so the art department is now becoming a technical leader on campus. And indeed, our graduates from the art department are now doing work for other departments to create flyers and videos for them. So along with graduates from the Film and TV Studies program in Journalism and Media Studies. So it is an exciting campus when we have the right funding that allows our students to get access to the latest technology. And I would just add that it was rather interesting that when we did have EVC Hensel visit us from CUNY, that we did stage it in such a way that she was speaking with our school being advertised all around her. And I don't mind admitting that I was the person who put those posters up around the lectern as she, as we knew that she was coming. But she did say in that speech that she supported the permanent funding of the CUNY Inclusive Economy Grant of internships for our arts and humanities students. So that's why I saw fit to include her in our year's events. The spring concert, another chance for everybody to see our students, high school students who hopefully will become students at Lehman, our current faculty, staff, community members sing and play. I showed, I think earlier on, I showed the playing. Here I'm going to have them, I'm going to show you a little bit of the choir, the chorus, I guess. I always call them the choir, singing from Mendelssohn. So see if you can hear this. That the end of that academic semester is when the students who've been working hard throughout the semester get to show audiences their work. And we had the end of year multimedia performing arts showcase, the two programs, 2 different days alternating, 4 days total. We had them perform in Lovinger again, and it was, as I said, with the dance festival, it seemed to me to be the most technically proficient showcase of the ones I've seen for the past 5 years as dean. And I just show some clips from their performances here, and you see the point of a multimedia performing arts degree at Lehman is to combine different media, is to combine the visual, is to combine sound, music, is to combine dance. So these students, whether they're in the dance track or the theater track, are presenting basically a work that combines different media to an audience, and that's the future of performing, and the future of our BFA graduates who then go on to either enter graduate school or work in production companies across the city. And the beauty of what we do, and I thought, I said this before about dance and dialogue, the beauty of what we do here is that, again, after these productions, our students will discuss their process with students and faculty in the audience and visitors and community members to actually go through what they have been through, to determine what inspired them, to determine what were their influences and what they thought they had accomplished in their work. And what I thought was amazing in this particular year is that the students assembled on stage and organized their own panel, as it were, without, I mean, I know that the faculty were there and had worked with them on the pieces, but it was just amazing to see them essentially take control of the space for that panel and do so eloquently. So another case in which our students have shown themselves to be accomplished. And these are, of course, graduating seniors. So by that stage, they have been through a number of years in our program, but it's still an accomplished performance. I also thought this year was special because it was the first year that we had our students, and these are many of them in the humanities. Our students put on a conference of their own research, which was sponsored by the Atlas program, which is funded by the Mellon Foundation, and is, sorry, actually by the Teagle Foundation. We had some money, Mellon money, but by the Teagle Foundation in the most latest grant, which basically is funding us at Lehman to offer courses especially intended for transfer students who come to Lehman without necessarily being liberal arts students. And what we want to do is to integrate them into a liberal arts college through courses featuring work by authors, and I use that in a very general sense, authors, creators, who are transformative, whose texts are transforming lives. And the faculty decide on texts as a group that will be the text taught in those classes. And the students do in-depth work with those authors in those classes. And this was the first year in which, at the end of the year of offering classes to students, transformative text classes to students, we had Associate Dean Beck organize a conference where the students stayed for a number of hours talking about the work that they had done this year. So I was very pleased with the success of the conference. And you can see it in those students after they've just done a conference presentation as to how happy they are at having shared their work. And one of those students, actually, Giulia Baldini, who is a master's student, a master's in liberal arts here at Lehman, she remarkably had her first article published in Vogue Italia, which is actually about the lack of models of color and indeed industry participants, really, in fashion, the lack of industry participants of color in the Italian fashion world. And so it's a remarkable achievement for one of our master students to be published in Vogue Italia. The end of the year, speaking of the visual, the end of the year also had the thesis show of the art students, the studio art students, which was held in the Lehman Art Gallery, which I mentioned earlier as our partner. And that was another spectacular end of year show by our art students. I could show more, but what I thought was interesting is that in addition to the sculpture and painting works of our students, we see more and more of our students doing animation and video art as their end of year thesis work. And we know that's at least part of the future of the art world is in that medium. So shout out to the faculty for unleashing students into the world of the video and audio visual and digital. So, and again, if you were lucky enough to be at the end of your show, you will have seen the variety on offer from our students. I wanted to say, yes, we are a school that works very hard. And yes, we are a school with faculty who work day and night to support their students. We try to make this a community, maybe even make this a family. And certainly now that we are able to be back in person, we resumed the tradition of having in-person celebrations of our hardworking faculty and staff. And I want to thank my staff for putting together, you can see Jeannie there in the photo and Laura. I want to thank them for putting together a wonderful holiday party. It was, again, special to be back in person. And this year was also a special year for me because it was the first year that my wife, Nicole, was teaching her class in English composition with a group of students in person. So that was wonderful. This teaches for, not for our school, but for the first year initiative. And those are some of her students in the photo from the fall. So it was a special year in many ways, but to return to the theme of the beginning of the presentation, if somebody had told me that I would be awarding an honorary degree to Grandmaster Flash at some point in my life, I would have said, you have to be joking. But the evidence is right there. There I am, and there he is, speaking eloquently to our students. So that was a delightful way to end the academic year with his words of encouragement to our arts and humanities students. And I said, this is a sample of what we do. We are, I think, the engine of upward creativity here in arts and humanities. I look forward to your continuing support of the school, attending our events, witnessing the accomplishments of our amazing students. And if you want to continue to follow us remotely, we are available online. You can follow us on our Instagram account. You can follow us on LinkedIn. You can follow us. Actually, you can't. I don't know that we actually continue with Facebook, but Meta, I guess, is the way we go now. So, and our updated websites and our brochures about our events. So I encourage all of you to join us in person on campus when you can, to follow us online. And if you do so, you will be able to get to the department websites and ultimately our school website, which will allow you, if you wish to support us by providing funds to allow us to continue to offer some of these events and to support our students with scholarships, that I would encourage you to visit our website and donate there. So thank you for your attention tonight. And as the Dean, at least for the next 2 days, because as people know, I'm about to take a sabbatical and write a book. I welcome any questions you may have about what we've been doing, or about how, as an alumnus or alumna, you can help and participate in the school in the coming year. I'm sorry, I should say, I was asked, and maybe I should finish on this, because I promised I would for the Department of Art and the Gallery. We do have, speaking of the of alumni, we do have the Lehman College Graduate Art Program's alumni exhibition coming up. It begins on September 6th. So that would be a chance for alumni of the art program to show their work. So I do hope that you can make it to campus for that event beginning September 6th. But it is one way to be able to participate in the life of the school. Okay, so thank you for, I see there's some comments in the chat. As a philosopher, I'm only ever used to people telling me what I've done wrong. So, I guess what I've done wrong is I should be more technologically developed like my own students, and play you all those clips with the sound, because I should have designed it for Zoom sharing with sound. But I will get you, Diana, conducting the orchestra and the chorus next time.
Just a reminder that for the homecoming art exhibit, there's a free reception on September 13th in the art gallery. You guys would have received the flyer, but I'll put the link in the chat if you wish to attend.
Free reception, that's always good. And very exciting to see. I mean, the art program is one of the departments that has a graduate program. They actually have 3 graduate degrees. So their graduates are going on to be exhibiting their work in exhibitions, indeed, not just over the city, but over the country. And we have a lot of very distinguished alumni in the art program. And we have graduates of the art program who are now teaching art in colleges across the city. So it is a very exciting group of master's programs that we have.
Well, we would like to thank Dean Mann for his generous time and wonderful presentation. Thank you all for attending. And again, be on the lookout for some fantastic events this year that we'll be sending to you via email. Thank you all again.
Thank you, and good night.
Good night.
Great job, James.
Good to hear you. Debbie, a true friend.
I mean, that's an amazing summary of, just for people to really see what you guys do. Of course, you always do those amazing jobs in tenure and promotion committee, so I wouldn't have expected anything less, but that's incredible. That was really great. And you taped that, right? That was taped.
Yes.
It was there. It was, yeah. Look, here's what I always say. It's basking in their reflected glory. I am in awe of what our students are doing. And I'm in awe.
It's incredible.
We have been able to bring them to that level of professionalism, that level of accomplishment that I do not know when I'm sitting in that audience. I forget that I'm at a college, anything. I am just witnessing art and performance in New York City. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Well,
everybody's so busy from day to day, they don't stop and take a look. And the School of Arts and Humanities is just this special place. It's not like the business school or the bench sciences. It's a little more exciting than my accounting class, I can tell you that.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's special. There's no way around it. It is special.
Yeah.
And
it shows by your enthusiasm. So it's wonderful. I'm a fan. So anyway.